Welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch, the show where two guys who, with no real information or opinions, decide to watch a random movie thanks to the power of the internet and then talk about it afterwards. So, and with me as always is the Harold Lloyd to my Buster Keaton, Kyle Mulford, and I'm Noah Saturn. How's it going, Kyle?
I think Harold Lloyd is the most underappreciated of that group, so I'll take that.
Okay. I thought it was because you wear glasses, and I don't wear glasses.
That could be too. And I don't have a Hitler mustache, so I can't be Chaplin.
I do also do not have a Chaplin mustache.
What did we watch this week?
We watched Cowards Bend the Knee from 2003.
Awesome, it rhymes.
Yeah.
It's a rhymey movie.
That's the reason it came out in 2003, just because it rhymes.
I can see that. Before we get into that though, we're going into a long list of what'd you watch.
Oh yeah.
Somehow I had some time to watch some movies, even though I've been really busy. I'm not sure how I managed to do this in 2 weeks. Watched the remake of Pet Sematary. Moving on.
Yeah.
I watched a movie called Fast Color, kind of an independent film about like this family that it's a post-apocalyptic world and like there's no water left in the world. I mean, very little water because it rained in like 8 months or something like that. And somehow this family of women can see colors like in the just...
See kind of like the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
Like the ultraviolet spectrum.
And she's got like a power and all this stuff and whatever. It was an interesting movie, actually. I feel like those small independent kind of weirder takes on superhuman powers and stuff like that. I would recommend it.
Cool.
One that I really liked was I watched Brittany Runs a Marathon on Amazon Prime.
Oh, I want to see that one. I've heard good things.
I really enjoyed this one. I feel like it kind of took a little bit of what was that one with... now I'm forgetting her name and the other comedian who did a movie about like she got knocked out and I Feel Pretty.
Yeah.
I feel like it took those themes and did them better because there was things about I Feel Pretty that I just did not like. And I think this one did a really good job with it, there were some serious parts to it that got a little more into exactly how she was feeling and dealing with like being able to accept herself as well as accept help from others and all of this stuff. And so I would really recommend Brittany Runs Marathon. They were selling movies for $2 at the library, and so I bought Top Secret and watched that with the family.
Nice.
Yes, there are some jokes that you probably shouldn't be showing a 7 and a 10-year-old, but I think they kind of went over their heads. So,
yep.
And my 10-year-old really enjoyed a lot of the silly humor of it. I love Top Secret.
Yeah, it's very good with just like joke density. For some reason, I remember the part where the guy gets like crushed into a car, but then like he still comes to report in, and he just like opens the door of this giant crushed car. Yeah,
and he's like his face is like in the window or whatever, and then you get the point where the woman is like hovering over, and this is one of the jokes is like the antenna raises.
Yeah. Then I also, of course, really like the part where it's like, it's like, do you speak the language? Well, I know a little German.
He's right over
there.
the classic Top Secret joke. I watched the movie Ugly Dolls because I've got 2 young girls, and it's a cute movie I think it's good for like the young ones, you know. So it was a harmless little musical fun.
So not
colorful.
like that to the levels of like Pixar or anything.
Oh no. I mean, it had a good message and everything, and there were some funny parts to it. And Wanda Sykes was one of the characters. So
Pitbull plays a dog.
Yes, Pitbull plays not a pit bull,
an ugly dog,
an ugly dog. But it was a cute little movie. If you've got real young ones, it's a pretty harmless movie to watch with them. I watched Dolomite Is My Name.
I've heard really good things about that one.
That is probably one of my favorite movies of the year right now. So, and it is December now, so we're getting to the end here.
I won't make any final judgments till January.
No,
wait for the year is over.
I actually wait until like 4 or 5 months into the year because there's so much. I don't get to the theater much. So
Yeah.
there's so much I don't see until the following year. But no, if you have Netflix, watch Dolomite Is My Name. Both Wesley Snipes and Eddie Murphy, fantastic in this movie.
Eddie Murphy is back.
He is, and I hope he does more stuff like this because he was so good in this. It was good to see him back in top form again.
I'm still waiting for Shrek 5. Or the movie Triplets, where it was, twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. There was always...
I heard about it.
There was like a sequel that was supposedly in development. It never came of anything, obviously, called Triplets, where the third one was Eddie Murphy.
I watched a couple that I'll pass over. Body at Brighton Rock was a little independent horror movie. There wasn't much to it. El Chicano, this legend, in like these mean streets in LA or whatever. Some Mexican legend of a guy who goes out and avenges things, or like if you're a bad person in the neighborhood, he'll come after you.
But is he a luchador?
No.
Luchadors make everything better.
It was okay. I watched The Public with Emilio Estevez.
Was he a luchador?
Yes, entirely.
If only.
No, he did not. His character from Breakfast Club did not go on to become a luchador.
Was he a hockey coach?
No, but he was back in the library. So
that counts.
And a bunch of homeless people in the library. And, it was just all about the homelessness crisis in America and all this stuff. And it was set in I think it was set in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked at the public library, and they all kind of sat in and locked themselves in the library because it was getting down to dangerous levels of cold, and nothing's being done about the homeless and everything like that. And there's no place for them to stay. The shelters are full. So it was a good movie. I watched Marriage Story. That one's been getting a lot of rave reviews on Netflix, and it was really good. Really, it was one of those where there's really no problems with it. Well acted, well written, well directed. It just is kind of there, though. It's about a couple getting a divorce, and they have a kid, and they're trying to do what's best for the kid, and then they get the divorce, and everyone's fine. The end. And there's not a lot, even the conflict that comes in is not really a conflict when they start going to lawyers, and then they get mad at each other because the lawyers are trying to make them do stuff, and both of them are going, well, they wouldn't really do that, and they don't really mean that, and it's all good. It's okay.
Huh.
Nothing, I feel like nothing really happens other than they go through the divorce and they try and do the best for the kid, which is great.
But did they wander around New York City looking for an apartment?
No.
I don't know. I've never seen any Noah Baumbach movies. This is one of his, right?
Yes.
I know that Francis Ha exists.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen, what is it, Patterson, about the bus driver.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen any Noah Baumbach either. I'm not sure. So it was a good movie. It just didn't feel like anything really happened. It was just kind of there, and it was good.
It was a good movie, but it wasn't a great movie.
Yeah.
Would you ever go back to watch it again? I'll take that sigh as a no.
Probably not. I watched Pokemon Detective Pikachu just because Ryan Reynolds.
Yep.
And
good movie, so much fun.
That's a reason to watch it, because Ryan Reynolds, and actually Justice Smith was pretty good in it too. He's a good up and coming actor. I think he's good.
He definitely did really well, because it's hard, especially to react to something that's just
not there.
Yeah. It'd be different if he was like a puppet or something, but yeah.
Because I don't know anything about Pokemon. I never watched Pokemon. It was I was too old for it when it came out, and so I don't really have any history with Pokemon, but this one just looked like a fun movie, and I kind of what little I know about Pokemon. It made me enjoy this movie, and I think that it was a fun spin on the whole Pokemon thing.
I think it's smart because it's not particularly, I guess, quote unquote, lore heavy. There's not a lot of exposition. It's just like a detective movie in a world where Pokemon exist.
Yeah, it's kind of like a noir movie with Pokemon.
And because a general audience knows how a detective movie works, and it follows a lot of those beats on purpose, it makes the whole Pokemon thing easier to get into, which I think is a smart way to do it.
Because after a while, you just kind of forget that it's based off of a kid's cartoon / card game, and just
slash video game
franchise. Yes, don't forget all the Game Boy games and stuff. And you just kind of enjoy the ride because, you know, Pikachu is great, voiced by Ryan Reynolds, like I said, and it's just fun to watch the story unfold. It was a fun movie.
I really enjoyed Psyduck.
Yes, Psyduck was great. So if he gets stressed out, he's going to blow up. Psyduck.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then, of course, the designs for the Pokemon, they were a great middle ground between realistic and cartoony, because they still retain their overall cartoony aesthetic. They just added sort of the nice touches where, you know, you could see Pikachu was furry.
Yeah.
And there was some nice texture, especially.
Yeah, for sure. It was very well. Like, the CGI was great in it. It was
just all the background jokes of just Pokemon doing stuff. Like, I think one time I saw in the background was just like a Snorlax just lying in the middle of the street.
Oh yeah, there was that scene, and like cars were like driving around him and stuff. Yeah, it was an entertaining movie because it's it's December as we're recording this, and so I watched Elf with my family because we watch that every year. It's the one movie that is a Will Ferrell lead that I actually love. I like him in small doses, but for some reason Elf just works for me. So if you haven't watched that, you need to watch that every Christmas. It's a fantastic movie. I watched On the Basis of Sex with Felicity Jones.
I think so.
Yeah, Felicity Jones and Armie Hammer about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It's a good I would say it's a good companion piece to the documentary RBG. The documentary was really good, and this movie was good too. It was a good dramatization of it, and you know, just basically a good drama about her struggles to become who she was. So I would actually recommend it, and the documentary RBG. I watched a kung fu movie called Master Z: The Ip Man Legacy.
Is that related to the Ip Man movies?
I think it's like some sort of spin-off. This character is the character in here, supposedly he owned like a studio where he taught a certain kind of kung fu or whatever. I forgive me, I don't know all the names of this stuff, but then he had been undefeated, and then he fought Ip Man and got defeated, so then he quit. But then it just follows him, and he just owns a little store, and there's like crime going on in his neighborhood and stuff, and he gets involved with all of it. And
it's about him and his band after they have to stop the cocaine trade from the Miami connection.
But it was fun fighting. Like, there's a lot of unrealistic stuff where, you know, they're climbing up and you could tell they were being pulled up by wires.
A lot of fun wire work.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of cool fight scenes. So there's one where like all these neon signs on the stores and everything overhanging the streets and everything. They were climbing up the buildings and ducking through all the signs and jumping across them and fighting across all of those and everything.
Cool.
And it was pretty awesome. And then the final guy that he has to fight at the end of the movie is
Keanu Reeves?
No, even better. Dave Bautista.
Nice.
And I have to say that Dave Bautista can move fast. Like, you know, he's
a wrestler.
He's a wrestler, but like, you know, usually you don't associate wrestling in this kung fu stuff.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he is. He just towers over the guy. Yeah. And it was actually a really good fight scene because Dave Bautista's really fast, but then also being big, he was able to like just grab him and then, yes, wire work, but he'd whip him across the room, but it looks realistic because Dave Bautista's so big.
Yeah.
And this guy's just one of those little, you know,
he's a kind of a smaller, more agile, kind of more wiry.
Very quick, wiry kind of guy. And so like he looks really light compared to...
Yeah, he's almost more, I guess, he's muscled up, obviously, because he's kind of more like a gymnast where they're very toned.
So I really had fun watching this movie. There's a lot of good fighting in this movie.
That is good.
And then the final thing that I watched was... I watched a lot of Netflix movie the last couple of weeks. I checked out the new Michael Bay film, 6 Underground. More Ryan Reynolds. And it was Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds in a Michael Bay film that was being a Michael Bay film. And so if that sounds appealing to you, go watch it.
Were there explosions?
There were explosions.
That's good.
There was explosions. There were scantily clad women, car chases, lots of gunfire, lots of people dying. The one thing that wasn't in there was any flag waving. You know, a lot of times Michael Bay can get really, what is it, jingoistic?
I don't know.
Yeah, but there wasn't any of that. But like it was a very flashy, actiony, blow up kind of fun Michael Bay movie. And it was good to see him go back to this kind of movie, like, and get away from the Transformers, because those things, you can't tell what's going on.
Yeah. The thing about Michael Bay is that nobody does what Michael Bay does like he does. If you watch something like Battleship, where they try the Michael Bay, it just doesn't work the same way that he does.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily a Michael Bay fan, but I can always appreciate how he can take a movie with a smaller budget and make it look bigger than it is.
Yeah. And I'm not a huge Michael Bay fan, but I will have to say I love The Rock. And this one was a fun movie. So if you got Netflix and you're just hanging out on a Sunday afternoon and you like a good action movie, pop on 6 Underground. It's fun. So that was my list of what you watching. I'm going to say the biggest recommendations off of that entire list are going to be Dolomite Is My Name, which you can find on Netflix, and Brittany Runs a Marathon on Amazon Prime. Definitely go check out those 2 movies.
Good stuff.
So let's get on with the main attraction.
Yeah, which will probably be the shortest part of the episode.
Cowards Bend the Knee.
I don't really know how to talk about this movie.
Okay, so let's explain what this is. We've got... I had to go look this up. First of all, I'm going to say right now, I'm going to say what Rotten Tomatoes, 20 critics, 95%, 1,200 users, 89%. People really like this movie.
Okay, well, at least a certain kind of person that would seek out this film.
Apparently a certain kind of person, because I'm just going to say it's a bunch of pretentious, artsy bullshit. It just really... And it literally is artsy bullshit, because... It was developed as a series of 10 short films and it was commissioned as part of an art project by the Toronto Art Gallery and the Power Plant. So back in 2003, the early 2000s, because this came out in 2003. I don't know when it was commissioned for this, but it was originally in an art installation, a place called the Power Plant. This is directed by a Canadian, and this was a Canadian art museum, art gallery, and it was filmed in 10 different parts that are about like 5 to 6 minutes a piece, and you would go and watch through a peephole for like, there'd be 10 different peepholes, and you'd watch all the different parts of the movie.
Interesting.
And here's the thing where this is why I call it, and I hate saying pretentious artsy bull crap, yeah. I hate saying that, because there are people that like this stuff, and
if you like it, that's great.
If you do, that's great. But it's stuff like this that gets me. When Guy Maddin, he's got a trilogy of films, and this is the first in a trilogy, and the second is called Brand Upon the Brain, and then the third is My Winnipeg.
Well, the third is actually Return of the Jedi, but that's it.
Yeah, and
Turtles in Time. No,
it's called the Autobiographical Me Trilogy. So he puts his own name for the main character in all of these. And then it's based loosely on the story The Hands of Ida, and Euripides play Medea. So, I mean, it's based off of Greek stuff.
Based off of Tyler Perry stuff.
Yeah, yes.
Medea,
yes. But
I wish Tyler Perry was in this movie.
But the director Madden also claims that the film can be viewed as an autobiography. This is where I get into artsy BS. Although the events of his life are not being represented so much as the events of his inner life.
So he wants to have sex with people?
He wants to...
cheat on his girlfriend?
He wants to abandon his girlfriend dying on an abortion table to go after the daughter of a bordello / abortion clinic / salon place.
With a hand transplant.
With the doctor, and then murder his teammate and blame it on phantom hands, and then get his hands actually cut off, and then fantasize about his father's penis being much larger than his, And
oh man.
That's your inner life. Okay, you have your inner life.
We would recommend seeing a professional therapist.
Yes, and yeah, that was the movie right there. But all right, let's get into this because
okay, we'll see how deep we can get into this.
We'll go chapter by chapter because they're really short. Chapter 1. Okay, and let me also tell you, it was like a peep show thing. And so everything actually looks like it was filmed through a peephole. So it's all like in this circle frame.
A lot of circular frames, a lot of fisheye lenses.
He likes, apparently this director, I haven't watched any of his stuff, but he's highly acclaimed, probably in the artsy world and the independent feature world. He is known mostly for doing, trying to recreate like the 20s silent black and white era pictures. And this one really did feel like that. I'll give him that. It was shot on Super 8, very grainy, title cards up. You know, he did put in like sound effects like cheering at the hockey game and stuff like that. But most part it was just a score and a few noises in there. So, but then we get different chapters. So chapter 1 comes out and it's called Sperm Players.
Oh boy.
And we see a doctor looking through a microscope at some semen. And when he looks through the microscope, then all of a sudden we cut to a bunch of hockey players on the ice playing a game. And
so when you're Canadian, you have hockey sperm.
Yes, you are born with
hockey.
Hockey DNA
literally helps babies be born.
Hockey is in the DNA of all Canadians.
That is what we got here.
And they win a game. He finds out his girlfriend Veronica's pregnant. They all celebrate in the shower together. They're all naked in the shower, like with their trophy. And then,
I mean, I only shower with all my trophies.
Yes, and then
by like middle school participation trophies.
It's just have them lined up on the shelf in the shower.
Exactly.
And then someone comes in and says his mother is sick and he should go visit her. There's really not a lot to the mother storyline. I don't even know why it's in here. He's got mother issues too, apparently, in his inner life. I hope Guy Madden never hears this podcast and hear us.
I'm not sure why he would bother.
I'm not sure either, but I'm sure you're a nice enough man and you made movies and you do what you want to do. So
exactly.
Cool.
Good on you. We appreciate you pursuing your art. And
just not my thing. So that's the first chapter. Chapter 2, called A Squeeze of the Hand. We go to the Black Silhouette Salon. It's and the title card comes up. Beauty salon by day, bordello by night. So they go into the back room beyond the bordello.
In the Beyond section of Bed Bath & Beyond?
Yes, beyond the beyond.
They find the universal
That's
remote.
Where you find the good stuff, like the egg beater that the doctor uses to give the abortion.
Oh, boy.
And so she's on the table bleeding. She even bleeds a maple leaf on the table.
Because she's that Canadian?
Yes, she's that Canadian. I bleed Canadian maple leaves.
It's actually just syrup.
I bleed syrup.
Maple syrup, of course.
And the guy is standing there holding her hand. She's dying on the abortion table. And he goes, "Oh, look, there's a pretty woman over there who is Meta, the daughter of Lilium, who owns the bordello/salon.
Yes.
And he goes, screw you, Veronica. I'm going to go over and mac on this lady."
Yeah, quit macking on that dame.
The end of that chapter. Chapter 3, Upon a Pile of Hockey Gloves. And we literally have them rolling around on a pile of hockey gloves.
Seeing a theme here.
Is a very Canadian theme.
Yes.
She's naked. He keeps trying to touch her breasts, and they keep rolling around. She wants to have sex with him, but then every time he goes to touch her breasts, she pulls away or pushes his hands away. You can't have sex with me or you can't touch me until my father has been avenged.
Until you've avenged my father's death or whatever.
And he's been murdered by my mother and her boyfriend, who's also a cop and also on your hockey team. Shaky.
Yeah. Shaky the cop.
Shaky the cop. And his hands were...
Isn't it like Shakes the Clown?
Yes, Bobcat was in this. That was Shakes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then his hands are blue from dyes, and his hands fell off because they were wrapped in wire, and then he was strangled, blah, blah, blah. And then Veronica, we see her lying on ice. I think it was just more of a representation of her dying. And then there's a trail of blood on the ice, and she's dead now. And
So they just use her as a hockey puck instead?
yeah.
No, they use her for curling practice.
And then we go to chapter 4, Meta's bedroom. We go to her bedroom, and her blind grandma is there. And then Meta has some weird like vision of a cemetery, and Veronica appears as a ghost, and now she's got long hair instead of short hair.
And then Betty and Archie are on a date, and
Veronica comes,
and Jughead eats a hamburger.
and Dr. Fusey, who was chloroform's guy, and Meta wants him to sew her father's hands onto him, and he can't do it. So when Meta leaves the room, he just paints his hands blue instead. Because, you can't tell that those are just painted on and those are actually still your real hands.
Yeah.
No one would have been able to tell that.
I just assume it's like
That was a very good thread he used.
Yes.
Very seamless in the surgery.
So that just makes me think of The Beast with Five Fingers, about like basically Peter Lorre is in this horror movie where he kills, or at least he thinks he kills, like a pianist with one hand, and then that hand comes to haunt him and try and choke him.
Nice.
It's a lot of fun.
I
assume it was the first role of Thing from the Addams Family. Very good debut.
That's his origin story.
I assume so.
So he wakes up and finds, his hands. He thinks he's had new hands sewn on because he's dumb. And now he doesn't want to touch Meta and this is where it gets weird also with some sort of father-daughter, like
incest,
we have like this
incest.
Yeah, because Meta is all about, I loved fainting into my dad's arms and all this weird stuff. And then now that she thinks Guy has her dad's hands, she's trying to get him to touch her with them, and then he's all weirded out by it, and now he won't touch her.
Why doesn't he just wear gloves?
I don't know. Why
or
doesn't a lot of things?
Or like put on like fake crab claws, make things really interesting.
But then we go to chapter 5, Fisty, and it's exactly what you think that means.
They go to the gym and they go 5 rounds.
Yes. Lilium, the owner, hires the ghost of Veronica.
As you do.
Meta wants Lilium killed, so she still wants vengeance for her father.
You will be visited by 3 spirits.
And then Guy goes to kill Lilium the same way Lilium killed the father, by choking her at like a shampooing station in the salon. And instead, he gets turned on by her, turns her around, and fists her.
I don't particularly care for this film.
and it was of course they didn't actually show that, so they were gracious enough not to show the fist actually going in. Instead it was like a fist going into a tuba or something like that. I don't know. Then he gets hired because apparently she liked that a lot.
As you do.
Chapter 6, Wax Tryst. Guy goes back to the hockey place, and apparently there's a wax museum in the attic of the hockey arena. I didn't know hockey arenas had attics.
I assume that the wax museum was put together by Vincent Price.
Yes, it was. He finds the new girl there, Veronica with long hair, doesn't realize it's actually his old girlfriend that he left to die on an abortion table. And then they start macking out, and he starts gnawing on her hair. This is like, there's some issues going on with this.
And then Ross accidentally sees Rachel naked, so it just kind of throws off the dynamic. So now, to make things better, she has to see him naked.
Yes. And then the Soviets...
That's how it works, right?
Yes. And then we get the Soviets. They come and play hockey against against Guy's team because we need more hockey in here. Because it's Canadian, eh?
I think it was in his commission contract.
Yeah, and the Soviets were up 9-0, but I think that the other team must have come back and won because they were like celebrating afterwards.
Were they naked again?
Probably. Chapter 7, Blue Hands of Vengeance. after the game, this is where we get to the end of the game, and Guy actually does go and strangle Shaky because they're celebrating, and he's over strangling Shaky. No one sees it. He kills him. And then he goes into the shower afterwards, and the guy bends over to get soap, and then Guy keeps poking him in the asshole, but then it keeps cutting to a doorbell. So I just wrote down, Guy rings another man's doorbell.
It's not what I meant when I said joy buzzer. Ha-cha-cha.
This is one of the sound effects one too. It's meh, meh, meh. And he's like all disgusted by it, thinking that it's the possessed hands that he doesn't really have, so it must be his inner desires to actually do this. I don't know. And then we find out then his father is around and he's fondling an ice boob. Mm-hmm. And then Guy goes to confess strangling Shaky, and the cop doesn't believe him and won't arrest him. And so he slaps and strangles the cop.
As you do.
And then we go to chapter 8. Another wax tryst. This time it's different. It's not a wax museum. Guy goes and waxes Lilium's legs.
That's
and then
nice.
As he's doing that, every time he pulls the wax paper off, she punches him. It's like,
so now it's a Three Stooges sketch.
And then we get to go to the abortion clinic part of the place again. And Veronica, long-haired Veronica, dead ghost Veronica, is now having an abortion again, and he tries to stop it, but we don't know if this is like supposed to be his, like, because we find out like she's now dating his dad, and you don't know if it's his dad's baby now that's getting aborted. I don't know. He gets in there and strangles Lilium with a hairnet, and then the doc tells him I never switched your hands.
It was all a hoax, you dummy.
And then there's something about pie. Like and Meta eats the last piece of her mother's pie.
Well, that's not very nice.
after her mother's dead, because she never ate her mother's pie while she was alive, but she ate it after she was dead.
We live in a society.
You can't even make this stuff up.
It's
Chapter 9, Hands Off.
He gets his hands cut off?
Well, now Meta found out that, like, Guy likes Veronica again, even though Guy doesn't realize that he's liking his old girlfriend again. And so Meta wants her father's hands back. So this time the doctor actually does cut his hands off, even though it's not really. And Meta takes him and puts him in formaldehyde again or something. And then Guy goes back to the museum and
grows another pair of hands.
Well, no, he puts gloves on over his stumps, and then he goes to pee and finds that he can't do it very well, so his dad is at the urinal next to him and helps him and
Just go to the stall
and holds his penis for
Just
him.
use the toilet.
And then this is where he looks down, and we just get a shot of his father's penis peeing, and it's just like this really huge penis. So he's got penis envy of his father.
Ay, ay, ay.
And then chapter 10. The Furies. We're back up at the Wax Museum, and Guy's dad walks in and says, "Hey, your dead ex-girlfriend is now going to be your mom, and because I'm going to marry her." And then so Guy says, "Hey, wax figures, come to life and kill my dad." And they're all like, "Okay." And one of the wax figures is actually the dead father of that was trying to be avenged in the first place.
Oh, so it is the plot of House of Wax. I just wish it wasn't 3D.
Because he doesn't have hands either. And the whole fainting thing, how Meta likes to faint into her dad's hands, like that when she was younger. She goes to play that whole thing again, but they're up on the catwalk above the ice because this wax museum is above an ice rink. Again, why, I don't know. Why anything, I don't know. And then so she goes to faint into her dad's arms, but he doesn't have any hands to catch her, and so she falls to the ice and dies, I think. And then we end on the Wax Museum in the next season of hockey.
You know, I'm starting to think that this film wasn't necessarily fully written out beforehand.
I had to go point by point with this because, like I said, you can't make this shit up.
It sounds super long, but it's only an hour.
Yeah.
But it feels longer than that.
And the whole thing, like the way it's filmed also, there's like, instead of just being black and white, there's a lot of like stuff like cut really fast and like it kind of like jerks back and forth. Like it's like rewind, fast forward, rewind. Because there's even one where like in the first chapter, I think it is, where someone goes to shake Guy's hand while he's naked in the shower. And it keeps like jerking the hands back and forth, but it's not them doing it. It's the cut of the film. Like, making the hands go towards and back and never actually shaking. And I'm like, I don't know. Is that supposed to mean something? There's a lot of stuff I'm going, is this supposed to mean something? And a lot of the stuff I'm going, I hope this doesn't mean something because this is messed up. So, I don't know.
I don't know.
I can't, in all honesty, recommend this movie.
Neither can I.
The end.
The end. What would you recommend instead?
I don't know if this is going to be a cheat because I don't remember if I've talked about this when I saw it or if, because I saw it fairly recently, or if I've already recommended this movie once, but I'm going to recommend it again. A 1927 film with Lon Chaney called The Unknown. And forgive me if I've recommended this before, but it's about a guy who gets into this circus and he pretends he has no arms because he's committed crimes and he's hiding out, and then he falls in love with a girl, but she wants vengeance for her father's murder at the circus, and it turns out that he was the murderer. And then they fall in love, and he murders him because he's in love with her, and the father doesn't approve of him. Well, then they fall in love, and then he has to cut off his arms for real, but he's gone so long because of the surgery that she falls in love with someone else, and so he cut off his arms. It's this really bizarre thing about,
about arms,
about hands getting cut off, and a woman whose father like dies, and she wants vengeance for that, and all this stuff. So, and it actually has a coherent plot. It's just a really bizarre one, and it's a really interesting movie.
Oh, my recommendation, if we're going with silent films, is going to be Sherlock Jr. by Buster Keaton, because Buster Keaton is really fun, and silent comedy especially.
Yes.
Because so much of it is physical and visual, can still work really well.
Is this the one where he goes into the movie screen too?
Yeah, because he's watching like a detective movie, then he kind of jumps into the screen.
Because he like falls asleep in the theater, and like he dreams he's in the movie, but like the effects are amazing in this. With him walking into this, because there's stuff going on the screen, and then they cut it so that when he walks in, it looks like he's actually walking into a movie screen, and it's so good. And the effects are amazing for the time that it was made. So yeah, I like that suggestion. It's much more fun than Cowards Bend the Knee.
Yes.
Oh, and that was the other thing, is I read that, I was like, what is Cowards Bend the Knee even? Apparently, I don't know if this is just an analysis, because I think I read it on Wikipedia, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. The Wax Museum figures were all actually alive the whole time, but they were avoiding the trials and tribulations of life by taking a knee and becoming a wax figure and just avoiding life altogether. So they were being cowards and avoiding life entirely.
Huh. I don't get it.
I don't either.
All right, Kyle, I guess it's now for that. It's that time. I guess we'll just go all genres and hopefully get something more interesting.
And I'm not even mad that I watched this either, because
you're just confused.
I'm just confused. And I like to watch, like, even if I don't like something, I like to watch a lot of this stuff just so I've got a taste of these different subcultures of film that, like, maybe it's not your thing, but you should at least try it.
Yeah, it's something you probably wouldn't have discovered otherwise.
Yeah, I would have. This is something I never would have watched if it wasn't for the podcast, because even if I discovered it online, just going through this stuff, I would have watched like 5 minutes, go, what the hell is this, and turn it off. But yeah, I'm not mad that I watched it, just like you said, confused. I don't know what Anyway, 70% or better on Rotten Tomatoes, and let's spin the wheel. Okay, we've got 80% on Rotten Tomatoes from 2011. Action and adventure comedy. We've got Ahab, a man obsessed with exacting a brutal, violent revenge on the man who murdered his dad, joins John, an eager priest, and Twink, a hot-headed street hustler, on an epic quest to find and defeat this mythical monster known as Chris Fuchman, aka the Father's Day Killer. This is on Amazon Prime from 2011, and it's called Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
This looks like it might be another bizarre little independent feature itself.
I'm willing to try it. I was assuming it was Captain Ahab.
Nope, not Captain. Just Ahab. Ahab and John the Priest and Twink.
Yep.
You can find this on Prime Video.
Cool. Well, I guess that about does it. And always remember, never dye your hands blue.
First, you can find us on the interwebs.
Oh, right. You can find us on the internet on Twitter. I'm at Noah_Saturn, SATERN.
And I am at AwesomeKM. And then you can find us on Instagram at We Don't Know What to Watch. And you can email us to at WeDon'tKnowWhatToWatch@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of our podcast. Hit the like button. Smash that like button.
And subscribe, hit the bell icon or whatever.
Yeah, and all that good stuff. And
yep.
Listen.
Leave a comment for the algorithm.
Yes, indeed. And until next time, some people just need a therapist.
And
maybe,
Canadians have hockey in their DNA.
Yes.